So thanks for coming and talking to me today. I appreciate
Welcome.
it. Yeah.
It took me a while to figure it out, and then I said, "Hey, Danny, let's go ahead and do it," and we go from there because we talk every Friday. It's Sun King.
Yeah, I've known you a while. We've talked a lot, and I'm glad you agreed to do it. It's a contentious time to be talking about some of the things we'll probably talk about. But before we get into too deep of stuff, I have like some curious questions for you. So, Will, your name, Danny. Your last name, can you pronounce it for me?
It's pronounced Shemoel,
Shemoel?
but when I did my passport when I was 16, I was terrible in English. So I wrote down the way I sound, Shemoel, Shemoel. I make a mess out of it. It's basically Samuel. That's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But again, I was 16 and I never like English, and I just make a mess out of it on my passport. I asked my daughter if I should change it. She said, no, leave it like this. It's the only one.
Okay.
So it's Shemuel, the name of God. That's what it means in Hebrew.
Oh, okay. And you are from Israel?
I was born in Israel.
Yeah.
I served in the military like everybody else. I was in a war in Lebanon, 1981.
You fought in Lebanon?
Yeah. I went to school. Then after school, my wife was from the United States. We decided to come here for 5 years, and I got stuck for 40.
So you've been here in the States 40 years. But you lived, how long were you in Israel?
25.
Your first 25. Yeah, your formidable years, they would say. I want to know what it was like. What is Israel like? What's your favorite part? What do you miss?
The childhood. My town was a very small town, 5,000, mostly Holocaust survivor. So I grew up with all the horrifying story from the Holocaust. Everybody knew everybody. The door was open. You didn't have to lock anything. It's just outside Haifa. Haifa is a port city, and outside Haifa to the north is probably about 3 or 4 what we call Kiryat Yam.
Kiryat Yam. And that's close to the sea, right?
Yeah, it's very close. My parents' home was probably about 200-yard walking distance.
Really? I bet that was beautiful.
In my high school, you see the Mediterranean, so we used to go and play football, soccer, every break time, and of course late. We were born to Israel, to freedom. It's hard to explain because everybody here is free, and the United States exists in 1776. After the Holocaust, when Israel was born in 1948, we're not the minority anymore. We become a majority. Jewish state. Israeli. We like to call ourselves Israel Jews compared to American Jews.
Yeah.
And there is a nickname to people who are born in Israel. They call him Sabra. And Sabra, basically, it's a cactus fruit. It's very spike on the outside, very soft on the inside. So our very spike, we sometimes say whatever we think. We don't have a filter in our mouths. But we have a very soft heart. So I was raised in Israel, played sport all my life, went to high school, and after high school I was in a group that went and near the border with Jordan. It's called a kibbutz. And we did farming, plus we did military. And it was a group from Kiryat Yam, Tel Aviv, Petach Tikva, and Be'er Sheva. 4 towns. It's like Boy Scouts that you meet, you form a group. My group was 120. And you go to the military, and then you come back, and you do farming.
And everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girls and boys. Girls serve 2 years, boys serve 3 years, unless you sign for more.
Well, I have questions about that, but I want to back up a little bit. Was it like being a child in Israel? You said you played sports. What kind of sports?
Soccer, most of my life. Handball. It's not the handballs that you're familiar. It's 7 against 7. in a basketball court with a goalkeeper. Close to the Mediterranean, so of course you swim. That's part of it. Track and field.
So what would be different about being a kid in Israel and being a child here in the U.S., do you think?
Again, when Israel was formed in 1948, and my parents came from overseas, of course, so they have the mentality of don't say too much, or don't talk a lot, or just watch what you're saying. When you're born in Israel, you're born to a freedom, to a free society, very open society, so you can say whatever you want. And we have strong military. You know, you all know that by 18, you go to the military. It's not a question. Question, what are you going to do? Paratrooper, tank.
I'll bet you guys, like, the consensus among your parents and probably natural-born Israelis is probably, like, really grateful for freedom, not just because it's new for a Jewish state, but also because of Semites. Because, like you said, you were kind of describing your parents were very careful to not make waves. Some of that has to stem from the fact that there are forces out there that would do harm to people just because they're Jewish.
Yeah. My father used to tell me a story.
It probably felt pretty liberating to have
Yeah.
a state to them, yeah?
They used to kidnap Jewish girls and marry them to a Muslim guy. My parents came from Iraq. My mother was from Baghdad. And my father was from Kurdistan, close to Iraq. And my father used to tell me that he used to marry the girl right away, 14, 15. They're afraid the Muslim would steal him and convert him to Islam and marry them.
Man, this is something that we just can't wrap our heads around in the States.
You can't, because I remember I was making a joke out of it that somebody went upstairs to the sky to meet God, one of the rabbi, and he's waiting, and one of the angels came and said, God will see you now. So he's walking in, he sit down, God, how you doing? I'm fine. How are you, labeled? What can I help you? Say, I got a question for you. I got a request. Can you please choose somebody else? Since you pick up us, it's a joke, right? As a chosen people.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're killing us. They're murdering us. They're chasing us. They're doing all these horrible... Can you please choose somebody else?
What did you pick us for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I got the answer from God.
No, probably not. Man, so is there any other differences between being an Israeli child growing up and an American child? Is it pretty similar to the U.S.?
It is similar, but we didn't have all the toys that the kids have here today. I don't think in my town only few have a license when they were 16 or drove a car. We walk all the time. We walk to school, we walk to the soccer field, we walk everywhere. I mean, it was just... We have ice in the refrigerator, ice box, growing up. And we're talking about 1960, 1970, when everybody here have refrigerator and cars and all the luxury. And then Israel just took off with a high-tech startup company.
Yeah, the Israel state, the Jewish people in general throughout the world are always an extreme minority, but they're always extremely successful. That's kind of a rare occurrence.
It's because of the parents. They were raised up. When the Jewish came to the United States, late 1800s, they came from Russia, Georgia, all this communist country, all this bad European country. And they collect scrap on the street. I know a family in Kokomo who collect scrap on the street and took it to Continental Steel. The main idea was they have enough money to send their kids to college. And when they do it, they're going to start being white collar. And then the generation went by, 2, 3, 4. They all went to college. And the college what gave you the step up. In the beginning, they just start merchant. There was so many shops of Jewish people in Kokomo downtown.
Hmm. Man, the absolute resilience of Jewish people it's inspiring to me. Like every story I read throughout history, it's just one terrible damn thing after another. And not only did Jewish people make it somehow, they then immediately thrive there afterwards somehow. There has to be some
It's called
incredible...
tradition.
It's tradition.
Tradition.
That's it. And I think Jewish people were very wise to grasp on to Enlightenment values versus like Islamic extremist values or a different sort of thing. Jewish people always seem to be really good at getting involved with new technology and new forms of things, and using whatever tools they have, whatever they can educate themselves with. Like if you look at any industry, you will find Jewish people overrepresented in some of the best positions compared to the population. They're just very successful, despite being, there's not even a proper word for it. Oppressed,
They work
suppressed.
hard for it. They work very hard. I mean, nobody give you anything. Nobody knock on your door and say, Dustin, here we go. You're going to be very successful. I'm giving you everything. You have to do it. You have to...
Well, especially if you're Jewish, right?
Well, it's not especially when you're Jewish.
Not for any fault of their own, but because there's always people out there, it seems like, that are trying to make the life for Jewish people miserable.
They do. And I remember when my daughter was going to high school, and she was probably the only Jewish girl in Kokomo High School then, and she really had a hard time. Really hard time.
Really?
Yeah. And the last year she did homeschool, and the teacher used to come to her house. When she went to Ball State, she finished 4.0 in the architect department. And I remember he used to say, well, what do you expect? She's Jewish. And I said, what has got to do with it? She worked very hard to accomplish what you become. It's nothing to do with that she's Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu. You really have to work hard. When I came over here when I was 25, my English, again, was very broken. And I remember my first job, I have to have the people write down their name so I won't misspell it. And then that's how we gave him the check, payment. And I went to school at McKinley School to learn English at night. I think it still exists. And I taught some math to people who want to do high school diploma. That was my payment for the school. But it's really nothing to do with being Jewish. It happens that she is Jewish. But if you saw her working out every day until midnight, 1 o'clock, doesn't understand that there is party, there is love. No, she was at school for 7 years until she was 27.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it. Like, I would never notice if someone was Jewish or not, unless it was important for them to display it somehow. Like, I didn't know you were Jewish, in particular, when we started talking, until you told me it was, important to you. Then it matters to me. But until then, it doesn't matter to me. A person's character is what matters. But that's not the case in the rest of the world necessarily.
No.
Not even everywhere in this country. But definitely... And the reason I bring this up is because I want to give you a chance to talk about what's going on in Israel currently. But I kind of want to do it with a frame in mind. Because I've been listening to a lot of what people have to say about it from the West. And immediately it was very apparent to me that I could not understand what's happening over there. First of all, it's two different religions I don't have much experience with. There's Jewish religion and then there's Islamic side. And on top of that, it's two different cultures I don't understand. It's a history I don't understand. And I don't know anything about the conflict. Now, I know some basic history, and I know people's opinions about things, but I don't even think that people in the West, including me, are qualified to understand what it would be like to be in any part of that conflict. Do you sort of agree with that?
Yes, but when you were born to this conflict and raised and know that that's part of your life to protect the country, protect the people, and you don't know any other thing, it's just something that you do without even thinking. You know, your father was in the military, was in a war.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a war, and you hope your kids will not. But
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely understand the conflict pretty well. But I was just trying to say, like, as we talk about this, maybe we can help. You could help me, and that would help other people sort of understand a bit of empathy, like what it's actually like to be that. You know, because what we'll do is we'll watch something on the news and we'll put our ideas on it. But that's impossible to do in this situation. Because we're talking about the different cultures, different religions, different languages. That not everybody has the same ideas as a person raised in the U.S.
Today, with the social media, you can find about everything. Just a little bit of history. In 1948, United Nations decide that it's going to be two states, a Jewish state and a Muslim state. The Palestinians said no, and the next morning or the same night, 5 countries attack Israel. That's the first time they lost. In 1956, they tried to close the Suez Canal, Egypt. Israel captures the Suez Canal and all this, then have to be withdrawn. 1967, Nasser, the president of Egypt, with Syria and Jordan, decides that they want to eliminate Israel. So they're going to attack for 3 places, and they were ready. They lost again. And this time they lost when Israel captured Judea and Samaria, what we call the West Bank, and Sinai, plus the Golan Heights from Syria. So 1973 is the holiest days in Jewish. That's Yom Kippur, when we fast. I was 14. Around 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we were in the temple praying. Again, all the family praying. Not a lot of soldiers on the border. Egypt attack from Sinai Desert. Syria attack from the Golan Heights. They called the reserve. By the time they called the reserve, they killed a ton of soldiers because it was basically nothing. And they advanced. Luckily, in about 2, 3 days, 4 days, the reserve came and started pushing the Syrian back, Egyptian back. And Egypt called it they won in the war. Syria says they won. But at the end, Egypt lost the Sinai Desert. Syria lost the Golan Heights. And if it wasn't for U.S., Israel would have eliminated the 50th Division of the Egyptians that they surrounded. And Kissinger said, let him go. Whatever happened, happened. So after 1973, Sadat was smart enough to come to Israel. That's the president of Egypt. Make peace, and he got the Sinai Desert without a fight. Of course, 2 years later, the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's part of Hamas today, assassinated him.
Okay, so we'll stop there for a second. That's like the first 15 years of your life, basically?
From 14? Well, yes, you can say it.
Okay, you the first 15 years of your life, pretty much your country was under attack.
Correct. 6-Day War, I was 8 years old, 9 years old. I was the man of the house because my father was called to the military, and I have to take care of 4 brothers and sisters, put the TV down, block all the window with black tape, curtains, so the plane will not see it and bomb it. Yom Kippur War, I was 14, just finished grade school, getting ready to high school.
So what's that like at home? Your parents, they were around during the Holocaust?
No.
Their parents?
My parents came from Iraq and Kurdistan, a little bit less. It was pogrom, what you call, when they attacked the Jewish people there. but not really European country or Greece.
Right. But your parents were alive during the Holocaust.
Very young,
They're very young. Okay.
like 2, 3, 4.
So then they come to Israel and start a home, a family, and then they have some kids, and the country is just under attack from that point forward.
And again, when you live it, you don't see it this way. You just see that you have to protect your family and the country. So it's a little bit different.
That's not different. That's how I imagine it would be if you grew up in a country constantly being attacked. That your life would become about defending your life.
Yeah.
Was that what it was like being from Israel? Feeling like you were probably going to have to defend your life and your family.
And again, we have strong military, so
Well, yeah.
people would say it's arrogant, or my confidence came from this thing, from being, in a free country, democracy. You can say whatever you want, and plus a strong military to protect you. We never went out of the border to conquer other people, only when they attack us, and that's fell on our lap. So I just want to go back. So we finish Yom Kippur, Sadat make peace, Jordan make peace. We have the Gaza Strip, the famous Gaza Strip. It's not really big, and we pull all the settler out of it, and in 2005 we gave it the PLO, the one who used to control the Palestinian. In less than a week, Hamas took over and killed all the executive of the PLO.
And at that time, Hamas
was part of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right, but it wasn't part of the government yet. Right.
It was never part of the PLO government. It was a group that formed by the Muslim Brotherhood, very extreme, motivated Islam. They want to kill everybody unless you're a Muslim.
And if you're in Hamas, to make sure I understand this, I think Hamas got elected in Gaza, right, to run the government at some point.
So ran an election and Hamas got elected.
Yeah.
And after the election, they killed all the executive of the PLO.
Okay.
The brother and sister. They just throw him out of the roof.
And if you're a part of Hamas, you are an admitted jihadist or jihadist supporter, correct? Is there anybody in Hamas that's not at least a jihadist supporter?
You cannot. You have to be.
You have to be, right?
Yeah, but when you say Hamas, it's like you're given a name. Like, if you're a KKK, you're not a part of the society. Of course you are.
Right.
I mean, you can put the white hood.
It's like another group you're signing up for.
And then you take it in the morning and you're a lawyer, a doctor, a policeman.
Sure.
And don't forget the Hamas is part of the Gaza, is part of the people. When they attack October 7, they video everything. When the Holocaust happened, people know that something is going on. They're gassing the Jews. They're killing millions. But nobody took video. If they took picture. This terrorist, October 7, took video. So you can't deny the video when a guy called his mom and he said, "Mom, you should be proud of me. I just killed 10 Jewish people. I have the blood on my hand." And it's on a video.
Yeah, I saw some video, and it seems like complete insanity.
They just showed it yesterday to 150 congressmen here. People left in the middle crying and throwing up and in shock.
So if you don't mind, I want to ask you what that was like for you. Because I'd talked to you many times before that, and you would always talk about Israel when it was appropriate, but you would always start by saying something like, "Well, you don't quite understand," and then you would explain it to me, and I was always fascinated by that. But I want to know how it was for you, because you have family in Israel, and they have kids, and you have military-age kids, and that you're close to, and then you heard Hamas attacked. What was that like for you? And I want to say one last thing. We were at one of our conversations, and you had figured out a way to get the bomb alerts to your phone, which is similar to like they would be experiencing.
Siren, yeah.
And I remember it was a strange feeling for me to be sitting there with you, and occasionally the bomb warning would go off on your phone, and you could see roughly where it was going to land or whatever. And I thought for a minute there, just a little bit, what it must be like to be in Israel. Just what was it like for you to hear about it happening?
And I woke up Saturday morning at 2 o'clock to the bathroom, and I all the time check my phone because I want to see if I have message from my daughter. And it started flashing, and I'm looking at the news, and they were talking about the attack. And I was sure it's a joke. So right away I went downstairs and turned the computer on, and it was a holiday in Israel. Not a lot of people on the border from the Gaza, and there was like 18 to 20 villages, what we call kibbutzim, and a small town, few army posts. And again, when there is a holiday, you give a lot of the soldier break. So if a regular time you have 10 soldiers on guard, holiday you have only 3. Mostly girls. The soldier girls do the intelligence plus the monitoring the border to see if there is any activity. So I was shocked like everybody else, but it was a different shock. And then when the stories start coming, that they beheaded babies and they put babies in the oven and cook them, rape women and girls. There was a nature party with 600, 700 young people dancing and having fun. They went over there and started slaughtering everybody. I mean, with machine gun. It's like in a movie, you're sitting with a machine gun and you just shoot people, young people. As a video show that the guy make a selective. I want to keep these women for rape. I want to kill these women. I want to behead these women. And it's a reminder of the Holocaust. When the Nazi make the selection, this guy can work, this guy is too old, let's kill them. The baby, go ahead and kill. We don't need baby, we don't want to take care of it. And it took Israel a few days to wake up from the shock, the government, and call the reserve. And when they call the reserve, all the story, it's everywhere now. So all these reserve and all these soldiers, there was 100,000 people all over the world, Israeli. They came back to Israel, they joined the military. And assemble all the unit and start attacking back. And it took 5 to 10 days to get all these terrorists from the town. There was 3,000 to 5,000 terrorists. And what's sad about it, it wasn't just the Hamas. It was the Gazan. They follow the Hamas.
I saw some of that.
And they storm and rape women and kill them. The same Gazan that Israel give 20,000 pass to come in Israel every day. That's the same one who came and rape and kill baby and kill women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read, I didn't see this, but I read an account of a video that was seen that they took this woman's body back through Gaza. And the people that came out were mutilating her body and spitting on her and doing all these things. And there was nobody in the crowd, according to the report. I didn't obviously see it, I wasn't there. That was like, don't do that, or you shouldn't do that. So it seems to me like not every Palestine believes the same thing that Hamas does. Not every Palestinian, but it sure doesn't seem like there's a big resistance to like the Hamas methods, or
well, killing the Jewish people, it's for them what do you call a secret. I call it
sacred.
And when you show the leader after the attack celebrating, when you see the people in Gaza giving candy like they did in 9/11, after the two buildings collapsed. They were giving candy and shouting and celebrating. That's the Gaza Strip. That's the Palestinians there. It's not just Hamas. And when the son called his mom and tell her he should be proud of me, I just killed 10 Jewish people, he didn't tell her that he just cut the head of babies. He just put baby inside the oven and bake him. He just raped women and cut the arm, cut the finger. They video all this, so you cannot deny it. You cannot say it didn't happen. What do you see all over the world right now with the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian demonstration? Oh, no, it's just a story. It's never happened. And they're taking all the picture of the hostages.
See, that's confusing to me. Like, I saw, all the pro-Palestinian protests throughout the Western world, and I saw actually pro-Hamas protests. And I remember thinking, what the fuck did I miss? Like, how could this be a thing?
You didn't miss anything.
So I look back at it, and I'm like, I don't think I'm missing anything. I mean, I can't say that I would approve of everything Israel's ever done, but I don't know because I'm not them. But I can definitely disapprove of the actions of Hamas and the support they get from Palestine.
And it starts from college.
It's not some kind of resistance. What Hamas did in the beginning of October was not some kind of resistance movement by any stretch of the imagination.
And that's what I explained, my friend. Yom Kippur War 1973 was army against army. Yes, they attack us, they surprise us, they advance, but it was army against army. I have no problem, or I do, because I lost family member. But October 7 was against civilian. It was something that they planned it for 2 years. And what happened when you kill civilian, when you kill women and rape them and kill baby? What happened to your mind? You go to a shock, some kind of a shock. Say, how these people can do it? And that's what they wanted to do. They want to shock Israel. And they succeeded for the first 5 days. When we see the picture of
So you think it's strategic?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think it's because
No.
they've lost their minds or they've gotten possessed by an idea of, I get to go to paradise if I do this thing?
Well, you get 72 virgins. That's what they promise him. Every person that die, they get 72 virgins up in the sky.
And that's jihad. That's the idea.
It's the extreme belief that if you kill yourself and kill Jewish people and you die,
yeah, the extreme version.
You become a shaheed. Shaheed is holy.
And for the record, that's the extreme interpretation of jihad. There's a lot of Islamic people that read jihad as the battle every person needs to fight within their own heart. And they're otherwise peaceful people. But Islam's there's a lot of people that are Islamic in a lot of countries.
Yeah.
That's very different than the way that Palestinian Hamas people interpret that idea. They interpret it as we actually need to, we glorify ourselves in killing as many of these people that are infidels as possible. And when we die, that'll be the greatest glory.
When you visit Europe, and you see what's going on in Europe today, and I'm not even going here, Michigan, Detroit, New York, and all this, and you see how the culture changed, and you see what they did in Sweden. Sweden, to me, is completely lost.
You're talking about the protests in Sweden
Not
recently?
the protests, the new immigrations that came from Muslim country.
Okay.
And they don't blend in society. They keep their own religion, they keep their own black idea, and they don't want to blend in Sweden, Norway, Finland, and they become extreme.
Who do you mean by they? Middle Eastern Islamic people?
The Muslim.
Muslim. Middle Eastern Muslims.
Correct.
Okay.
It's not just Middle Eastern. You can have them from Afghanistan and Pakistan and Indonesia, even Russia. You have Chechnya that are Muslim. And there is only one country with 9 million, with all the sea of Muslims surrounding her, and then you have the sea. And they want to eliminated this country called Israel. And we all forget who is behind all this. It's one country. And one country, the sponsor, the terror all over the West, and that's Iran. Since 1979, when the Ayatollah took over, it's become extreme Muslim who want spread the religious, the Shia religious all over the world. How they do it? Take care of Syria, take care of Lebanon, take care of Gaza, now take care of Yemen with all the money they have from the oil.
And do you think it's strategy by Iran? Is it strategy like for power, or is it like they really believe that they're purifying the earth of infidels, or both?
It's both, and right now they surrounded Israel. Gaza was one of them. Lebanon was Hezbollah. They got Syria after the civil war. They got Iranians there. They want to go after Jordan, and eventually they go after Egypt. Then Israel was going to be completely surrounded. What do you see from Gaza? 10,000 missiles launching on civilian for the past months and a half, be nothing compared to what Hezbollah can do. And Hezbollah is a terror group in Lebanon. They have 100,000 missiles, mostly guided missiles. They can destroy half of Israel.
And that'll be only half as bad as what Iran can do.
But Iran stay away from it. They have a proxy military in Gaza and in Lebanon and in Syria. They can do the job for them. So Israel doesn't have any choice. Israel cannot lose. We all the time, we were born in this sentence. If we lose, we get wiped out. The Arab can lose 10 war, 20 war. They're still there.
Fighting for your life.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go.
When people ask me here, what's going on, Danny? Why is there all the time war? And he said, it's all the time going to be war because it's two religious fighting for the same land. And don't kidding yourself. It's not just the Hamas. It's also the PLO. They believe in the same thing. They don't say it. They like to put the suit and tie and be a little bit more civilized. But deep inside, they want to wipe Israel as well.
You think deep down inside they have the same kind of hatred that those people had?
Yeah.
You do? Well,
You'd be naive if you don't.
Yeah, I believe you. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I speak the language. I study the language in high school. So I speak the language and I understand. And when I was in the military, I was in checkpoint that was in the border with Jordan. And I talked to a lot of the truck drivers. They're very regular people. But when you come to the point who owns the land, who owns the country, they just completely change their attitude and they just want to wipe out Israel. No matter what Israel would give him, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, well, that's their pattern of behavior. They reject every offering, right? So let me ask you, do Israelis and Jewish people have the same sentiment towards Palestinian people? I mean, or anyone else in the Middle East? Do you feel like a lot of Israelis have hatred towards any group?
Before 10/7, there was a lot of sympathies. There was a lot of friendship. I mean, after 10/7, things broke up inside everybody's body. And it's not just the Israeli who live in Israel. It's the Jewish people who live abroad. I mean, something just... It's like when you find out that the Nazi gas, 3 million Jews in a gas chamber. And say, how can they do it? And that was a long time ago. I mean, right now we're just reading about the Holocaust. You've seen it.
Yeah.
You're living it right now. I live it. The Holocaust I didn't. I wasn't alive. But now I was there in 10/7, not there. But I was watching what they did to the Jewish people. And I can't call them animals because then I love animals. So I can There was just evil. There was just evil.
Yeah.
To kill babies. I mean,
Animals wouldn't do that.
why do you have to tear up the baby's head? To cut the kid's finger?
It seems like strategy.
It is. It's shock.
Or, yeah, not that many people could be psychopathic. There has to be strategy involved. And unfortunately, I think they're going, if the hate towards Palestinians didn't exist in the hearts of Jewish people before that, it'll be very difficult for them to not start feeling that.
My best friend got killed. And I've been gone from Israel for a long time, but we were in the same war in Lebanon, 1981. We were in the same kibbutz. He was a really good friend. Nice guy, short, smile all the time. They killed him and kidnapped his wife to Gaza. She's over there right now. 2 days ago, my sister-in-law from Israel sent me a newspaper clip. She's suffering from cancer, breast cancer. So she was just now after the operation, getting ready to get chemo, radiation, and all this when they kidnapped her. He was talking on the phone with his kids before they killed him. He had a gun, and he trying to do whatever he can to stop him, but he couldn't. There was too many of them with machine gun and grenade and I still remember we were sitting on the top of a big building in Beirut, outside Beirut, Lebanon. And the idea is that we're going to Beirut, house to house, to get the Arafat and all these terrorists out of there. And I remember talking to him, and he said, why do we have to go through all this war and go in Beirut? It was very, very liberal, and really didn't he didn't have a mean bone in his body. And it's very hard to be a soldier like this. He was very friendly with the Gazan, and 5 kids. Lucky none of the kids or grandkids got hurt. And he got killed. His funeral was last week, whatever left from his body, because the one thing they did, they burned the bodies. And because they burn the bodies, it's very hard to identify them.
Is that why they do it?
I don't know why they did it for cruelty. And it took a week and a half, 2 weeks, to check the DNA to find out that it was him. They found a father and son hugging each other. They only found the skulls and the bones because there was no flash, but they can see hugging each other.
Well, that's fucked up.
And when you hear the chatting all over the United States and overseas, it's really, the majority of them is Muslim. The majority of them from Arabs country. They come to the United States to study. There might be a second or third generation of immigration. And when they scream from the river to the sea, very famous slogan, basically what's the meaning, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, and destroy Israel. That student in Cornell, at Harvard, at Yale, at Stanford,
that confused
20, 21 years old with so much hate. And then they take all the picture of the babies, they kidnap. And when you tell them why you're doing it, that's not true. Israel is lying. The brainwash, it's what's scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
Because if they get brainwashed about Israel, and if somebody brainwash them against our citizen here in the United States, in Norway, in Finland, in England, what do we do then?
Yeah, that's the question. Well, first of all, when I saw all these supposedly smart people signing up to support a terrorist group, I was confused. So, I thought maybe I can't listen to reporters in the news and things because who knows what angle they're spinning. So I was like, well, what evidence is there that I can just look at on how the sides are behaving? And on one hand, Israel's, handing out flyers by the millions trying to make efforts to tell people what they're going to blow up and what they're not going to. They're trying to get people to evacuate. And, I'm not saying that they do everything perfectly, because war is war, and it's terrible. And the soldiers on the ground aren't interested in diplomatic solutions. They're interested in surviving. So things don't go perfectly. But when I look at the efforts that Israel's making, it's the efforts of a group that's trying to do things in a better than just terrorist type of way. But then when I look at the actions of, the Palestine led by Hamas, there's absolutely no honor or regard for, rules of any sort of engagement that people would agree on. So then it gets really strange to me when I see like groups supporting them, like they're doing some kind of heroic resistance. Doesn't add up for me yet. If it ever does, maybe I'll change my mind. But for right now, it looks like some brainwashed people who believe in whatever strange oppressor story they might hear. They might believe that, because Jewish people are more successful economically, that Palestinians must be being oppressed by Jewish people.
That's too advanced. They have books, mathematic books, when they say you kill 6 Jewish. You have 10 Jewish, you kill 6. How many you have left to kill? Kids, 6, 7 years old. So the kids raise his hand, I have 4 more to kill. When you raise like this, that's a brainwash that come from the books. The European pays the money to support Hamas and the Gaza Strip. When you see all the bunkers they built underneath the hospital, the school, the mosque, why they did it? Because they know Israel will not bomb the hospital. When the hospital was bombed 3 weeks ago, all the world went against Israel. 500 died, 700 got killed in the hospital.
Well, maybe I'm missing something, because the big argument was, Israel is inadvertently killing a bunch of children fighting this war, so that's a bad thing. And Hamas is somehow, their version of this is Hamas is somehow doing a good thing. And I'm like, I don't understand, because what Hamas was doing to Palestinian children before this whole thing was
the numbers that they're giving you, the 4,000, 3,000.
You mean the comparables?
No, they're giving numbers that 4,000 kids die. Most of the number are lie. Because when they say 500 die in a hospital, that Israeli bombs, then they find out that they did it. The Islamic Jihad bombed the hospital by mistake, and it wasn't 500 that died, it was 30. But the news was all over the place. The health industry in Gaza, controlled by Hamas. The health industry have a way of lying, the propaganda. They're saying that 4,000 children die, 3,000 women die.
Yeah.
Where is all the terrorists that Israel killed? They know if they spread the kids and women, they're going to get the support of the European. 2 days ago, French leader Cameron said Israel have to stop killing children and women. Today, Canada leader says the same thing. The brainwash, it's not just Hamas on the Palestinian.
Yeah.
The brainwash is Hamas on the societies that we're living in by saying that Israel is killing children. Everybody forget what happened 35, 40 days ago.
Yeah.
But to lie, it's part of the habit, part of the way, the agenda. When they interview the Hamas leader last week, and he said, it's not going to be the only one 10-7. It's going to be a second 10-7, third 10-7, 4. What he's basically saying, we're going to kill all the Jews. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
But we're going to have another massacre. Israel doesn't talk like this. Right now, we're going to Gaza to release the hostages and kill the Hamas leader.
Right.
That's the only thing they're saying.
Yeah. I have an English degree. Communication's kind of my thing. I sort of like try to gauge people's character and their intentions by the way they speak. And if you listen to the leaders of Israel, you can hear like shock and horror and like maybe we don't know exactly what to do. We're trying to do the right thing. That's kind of what they're speaking, and they're angry. But when you listen to Hamas leaders speak, it sounds like absolute fucking murderous insanity to me. That they've grabbed onto some idea that is so bad.
And where's the settings, the leader?
And they're
Qatar,
not,
Doha,
and they're not even like
Turkey.
They're not even pretending as if their plan is very clear to kill all Jewish people.
Yeah. And they succeeded of their propaganda.
And I'm not saying that's their plan. They say that's their plan.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Well, you got all the leaders, the political leaders, the military leaders, the one who's not in Gaza. They're sitting in a 5-star hotel in Qatar, in Turkey, in Doha, all over the world. They go and visit Russia. They go and visit Putin. And he's padding them. They go and visit Iran. They have $3 billion each in their bank. This money that the Western countries send to Gaza, that Israel giving to the employees, go to Hamas, to their pocket. They have the families there, they live there, and they're making all this deal outside Gaza. In Gaza, you have the average person, the one who just want to work and live. But in the same token, he like to kill Israeli.
Deep down, you're saying, sure.
Yeah, deep down.
So you don't think there's any chance for peace in a shared state between Palestine and Israel?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be peace because...
As a shared state? Like you think
I don't think they're going to share
somebody
state.
has to win, is what you're
Today,
saying.
there was the most ironic thing that happened. The European asked to send aid through the border on the northern side where Hamas attacked Israel. Mm-hmm. And Israel said, no way in hell. You want to send them help? Through Egypt to the Rafah opening. All the gates that the Hamas destroy and attack Israel will remain closed. We don't want to send anything through this area. Can you believe it that somebody attack your house, destroy, kill, does whatever, and he stay in your house and somebody asks you, can you please give him food from your house? Because he doesn't have any food, he doesn't have any medication.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't think, people will approve of me saying this, but I like to be honest with myself. And as much as I'd like to sit here and say I wish Israel would find a better solution because there is people getting killed that I wish they wouldn't get killed, as much as I'd like to say that, I know there's no way that I would be for that. Like if there was a country right up next to the U.S. whose plan was to kill all of us, no matter what, at all costs, and they did the same thing to the U.S., I'm pretty sure not only me but all those Harvard students and everybody would be like, fuck it, kill them all.
But again, you can say it. Again, you're talking about Israel. And when Israel attack and respond, the world is against it. Because they see us as the book people, the startup companies, they don't want to see them as a military power. When they attacked the 9/11, and U.S. built all these forces and went after Al-Qaeda in Iraq, did anybody came up and said, you're not using, it's not the same proportion, you're using tank and...
Proportion? Who gives a shit? It's war.
I mean, when somebody attack you, you attack with whatever you have.
Yeah.
So it's...
that's the reality.
But when it's come to Israel, it's a double standard.
Yeah, well, when you're sitting on the outside in your comfortable dorm room, it's easy to say things like that. But I think if people are coming for you and your family, then it's different.
Very different.
Yeah, depends on the perspective you look at it. I'm so glad I'm not in the shoes of any leader in Israel. What an impossible situation to be in.
I think the leader in shock because they didn't see the sign. But when you see the soldier, the one in Gaza right now, and the interview soldier, and I post a lot of stuff on my Facebook, the word is not revenge. The word is to eliminate Hamas. Nobody talk about killing women, children.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing brings the hostage back home. And we all know that half of these hostages are already dead. It's just body.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
Well, you've said it twice now. Israel's focus, what they're trying to do, is eliminate Hamas. What does Hamas do? They mix in with the people. They hide behind people. They set up in hospitals. They set up in schools. Do you think that's all true? They do that?
Yeah. They got 500 kilometers of tunnel.
So how often does Israel do that?
How often what?
Does Israel do that? Does Israel set up in hospitals and schools? And
never.
Does it hide behind its citizens?
No. That's not something that we learn and we raise on. We protect our families all the time behind us. We go in front when Hamas and more the terrorist group put the family in front of them so they can get killed, and then all the world will yell hell. It's well known that when soldiers die, it's mostly big officer, the high rank, because they're all the time going in front of the soldier, and you advance and you become the rank leader, and then you get killed. So far, so many high rank got killed, and I'm talking about high rank, because they went in front. I remember in Lebanon, was one of the biggest officers, and a group went to a house that have a tunnel. And the big officer did not see it, but there was 3 kids, 14, 15, with Kalashnikov, and they gunned him down.
The officer, your officer.
The big officer, really big. The soldiers that was there shot the 3 kids right away. 2 of them got a court-martial.
For shooting the kids. That's the kind of impossible situation I'm talking about.
We work it's a war, but most of the time Israel work with lawyer. Israel work with the judicial systems that tell them what to do, what not to do. So we follow most in the international law. But when you have the head of United Nations did not even condemn the 10/7 attack even once, you know that something is wrong with United Nations. When they stand up yesterday, 1 minute for the dead in Gaza Strip and never mention the 10/7, you know there's something wrong with the world.
Is that right?
You can read about it. They did it yesterday. And he did not condemn Hamas and did not call them a terrorist group. And you have to understand who elect him. The Arab countries, the majority of them, elect him to be the voice of the Muslim of the Arabs.
Oh, you're talking about the
head of United Nations.
For Palestine.
Yeah. Well, mostly Muslim.
Yeah.
They never condemn Syria.
Right.
For all the civil wars that happens, they never condemn Lebanon. But it's Israel, it's easy to condemn because Israel is vulnerable. And when you have the representative in Israel
and they're not
put the yellow star like the Nazi did, he was trying to show a point.
Yeah, Israel's never going to really get support because they're not part of the Islam team.
We don't want support from the Islam team.
We
want support from the Westerns.
Right, but the Israel state is surrounded by
Arabs, yeah.
By Muslims, yeah.
They did. So we have a cold peace with Egypt.
It'd be kind of nice if they would let Israel coexist, right?
Well, a lot of the people say that Hamas attacked because Iran did not want peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia.
I believe that too, the Abraham Accords.
And I say that's not the case. When you practice for 2-3 years to attack, the way you attack, that's nothing to do with Saudi Arabia or Iran. Hamas practice on fake Jewish villages, on fake Jewish posts, military
posts. That's true.
Posts.
I don't think it was the whole reason. I think it's the reason they picked the time. Like maybe this is
because the party, the 700 kids, for them that was a good party. Mm-hmm. They promised whoever bring hostage a home and $10,000. And again, they video everything. Everything.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I've always had I think the idea of the literal interpretation of jihad is probably the worst idea humans have ever had. But I've never seen it manifest in this way before until this attack, and it's extremely disturbing to me, because it used to be a person would kill themselves, suicide in an attempt to purify the world of infidels, and then they would get to go to paradise. But now, in this particular conflict, I've seen it for the first time. Their kids, that they're happy if their children get killed. I'm not saying they like it's everybody, but people who believe deeply in this idea of jihad.
And that's a brainwash. When you sacrifice your kids, your wife, your sister,
they're happy when their kids die.
Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with society.
Yeah.
How do you fix it? The only way to fix it, it's not supporting this terrorist group. But this terrorist group got you. And they scare you. I mean, Egypt is very scared from Hamas.
Sure.
Hamas attack in Sinai Desert.
The whole world should be scared of Hamas.
And killed a lot of the soldiers. Egypt really is against Israel, what they're doing, but deep inside they're happy about the eliminating of Hamas. For them, it's let Israel finish the job, but they can't say it.
Sure.
Otherwise, their people would take him down. There is a difference right now between the government, and Israel have a government that we never seen before since the existence of Israel. It's a different government with the heads that been the prime minister for 20 years now. And it's time to go. And he all the time supported Hamas in his way to calm him down, give him money, make peace, get 20,000 people to work in Israel, and they put him to sleep. They completely put him to sleep in the attack. So he's in bad shape. And his name is Netanyahu.
Yeah, I think I'm not very good at politics, but it seems like his career in politics is probably coming to an end.
I hope so. I was very supportive of him in the beginning, but in the past few years, I cannot wait for him to leave and take all his dirty politics with him and let new blood come to Israel and create, a different government. But really, right now, and we all the time say when there is war, we don't talk politics. Let's finish the job. Let's conquer this Shifa hospital underneath. Maybe we find babies. Maybe we find women bodies. And let's take care of the two leaders, the main military leader, who orchestrated this attack. Maybe they're not there anymore. But this tunnel, like I say, it's 500 kilometers. That's probably about 300 miles. That's a lot to build tunnel. Some of them are 70 meters deep inside. And
it's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. So
and everybody there pretty much is going to try to kill Jews at some point, according to you.
Correct, because they have 30,000 soldiers. We didn't see them yet. We didn't see the 30,000. Where are they? So Hamas, as a militant group, put a civilian clothes and blend with the civilian and escape to the southern side. The ones that are still coming out of the tunnel, it's what we call the extreme. They eliminated a lot of the leader, what we call minor leader, but not really top leader, and that's what Israel is going after. After Munich massacre, the Olympic, Golda Meir went after all the terrorists who organized this massacre and eliminated most of them. I hope that they will do the same thing with Hamas leader.
Yeah, we'll see. How do you feel about all the Western countries pledging support for Israel so quickly? Was that a good feeling? I mean, because
it was very good feeling.
It'd be pretty lonely without them, I think.
Well, Great Britain, that surprised me. And the mayor of London just fire of the Prime Minister of London just fire one of the ladies that in his cabinet because she was supportive of Israel. And she says something for Israel. But they have to be careful as well. I mean, they have a ton of Muslims in their country. And
yeah, I was reading about that. I think Douglas Murray was doing some reporting on that, maybe from the Atlantic. I could have that article confused, but that there's actually Hamas leadership residing in London, in England, for safety reasons. And there's a lot of
not in London.
Palestinians there.
Well, there is a lot of Palestinians, yeah. I remember, and I told my daughter did a master in London, and I said, wow, do you know that 20% of London population, are Muslim? In 10 years, the Queen have to put the abaya on her face. My daughter did not take it well, because she's very liberal. She doesn't like it when I talk like this. Today, there is 35% in London Muslims. So how long do you think before they take over?
I don't know, because I try not to think in terms of because someone's a Muslim that they would support this any idea near Hamas. I might be my mistake. I might be being naive, but I've met plenty of Muslim people that are peaceful, educated, that enjoy some ideas of Western culture and enlightenment. And there's a lot of Muslims in the world, a tremendous amount of Muslims.
Well, it's the number one religious in the world.
Yeah, and it doesn't... I would like to believe that a majority of them are not like jihadist supporters, that they don't like this sort of conflict. But I could be wrong. I have no way to gauge that. Do you think that Muslim people in London are a threat to democracy just because they're Muslim?
Well, I can't say that, because I believe there is good and bad, and in every religious. I mean, we have our extreme.
Yeah.
They have their extreme. But the history shows that when the Muslim or the Islam religious conquer places, they convert everybody to Islam. And if you don't convert like the old day with Salah ad-Din, you have to be beheaded. And I hope today it's not the case, but after 10/7...
Yeah, I don't know what to think anymore.
10/7 for me just telling me that it's not just Hamas. Hamas is the name. What is the name behind Hamas? It's, in this case, it's Palestinian, it's Muslim. And when you see the demonstration and the hate of the young kids, the adult, the 69 years old who got killed in Los Angeles, one professor, Muslim professor, hit him and killed him. The women who got stabbed in Detroit, the rabbi. Again, maybe not all Muslims are terrorists or jihadi and all this, but we really have to watch. And when we have a border that open and you see young Lebanonian, young Syrian, young Arabs that coming, you have to have the question, maybe it's a sleeping cell. So, again, not all of them are bad, but the ones that bad, that's the one you have to watch. How do you do it?
I don't know. And I know, well, in history, there were there were Christian crusades where they attacked people and converted them to Christianity and forced it. And, at some point they learned we decided as a society, not we, because America wasn't around, but society decided we're not going to do this anymore for whatever reason. I don't know. I never thought, when I was growing up and I read these things about crusades and religious extremism and the Holocaust and Maoist China, Stalin's Russia, read all these things, I thought to myself, as a young person, thank God I didn't grow up in a time where we were learning these lessons. Thank God that I'm alive after we've learned these lessons. And we'll never have to do any stupid shit like this again.
But then 9/11 came.
And then, like, yeah, as soon as I turned 20 years old, here we go again with the same old stupid shit that we've already learned. It's a bad idea.
I think the Hamas attack it's really a small, it's like when you play chess, it's just the first move. I think this attack will have a lot more move in a region and all over the world. It's already started. And I think to put this game away is going to take a long, long time. The Israeli will never recover. The one who sold this, the one who watched the videos, the one who had family who got murdered and killed, they will never forget this. It would take a long time, like it took the Holocaust, 1, 2, 3 generations. Yom Kippur War, it took, it was 50 years from Yom Kippur. And again, Israel do not go after, the military doesn't get children and women. They never train to defeat children and women. They train to defeat another army, to fight another army. But when you hide behind women and children, they're going to get hurt. That's what Hamas want.
Yeah.
Hamas live on propaganda. And the world have to understand that Israel want to help the Palestinian. When Israel left Gaza, they took everything. They left all these, what we call a greenhouse. They generate millions of dollars every year. A millionaire from New York gave the Palestinian $14 million and asked him to continue, build it and ship it overseas, make money. In less than 24 hours, they destroy all of them. They took all the copper, all the metal to the scrapyard. There was just dust. 24 hours took him to destroy. Israel left only the synagogue in Gaza, because you're not supposed to destroy synagogue. Everything else they took apart. 24 hours, all the synagogue was completely demolished. So then we should know that it wasn't really the land. It was not really the greenhouse, the synagogue. They want to build the militaries, they want to defeat Israel all over. But we never understand this then. We thought we're going to be okay if we go back. No, they want all Israel, and they show it on 10/7.
And you don't think it's a land dispute? You don't think it's the land?
Oh, of course it's land dispute. They want all of it, and Israel doesn't have any other place to go. It's either us or them.
Well,
that's the reason I say it's never going to be...
It seems awfully convenient that they could make the land dispute and get to purify the land of Jews.
The majority. When you use a majority, you can do it. And that's the reason Israel will be in wars all the time. It's never going to be over.
Do you think that Israel has any responsibility for this conflict? Anything they could have done better or have done wrong?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, not fall asleep. And I know what happened after Yom Kippur War, is going to be a team that's going to investigate everything. I mean, everything. To the last paper. And when they're going to give their report, a lot of these politicians will not have a job anymore. Because Israel doesn't hide anything. Right now, it's a war, you have to fight it. Netanyahu knows, and he's the head, that he's done. His wife knows that he's done. It's only a question of time. But right now, you have to fight the war. You cannot win the war. And everybody say, Danny, you cannot win against an idea. And Hamas is an idea. No, we want to eliminate this idea the same way we eliminate the Nazi.
I think so. I don't know anything. Well, let me put it this way. I don't claim to know anything about this conflict with any detail.
Now you know a lot after you talk to me.
Yeah, I do definitely know more. But and I'm not a religious person. So I get to have kind of an objective view of these conflicts. I don't have a side. You know what I mean? And the one thing that seems clear to me is that the idea of jihad is so crazy and destructive for society and people that if you believe that shielding yourself with your kids, and getting them killed in an effort to purify the land of Jewish people is your ticket and your kid's ticket to paradise, then I can't believe anybody wants anything to do with that interpretation of a God or an idea. Like, that is just absolutely...
When you have a chance, read about the Muslim Brotherhood. And just Google Muslim Brotherhood and what they believe in. And your eyes is going to open. And that's what part of the agenda of Hamas.
Yeah.
And that's the reason in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood are being chasing out, put in jail, because they don't believe in peace. They believe in killing and beheaded everything like Salah ad-Din does when he fought the knights and conquered Jerusalem. Convert everybody. Either convert to Islam or get beheaded.
Yeah, and they prefer death over life.
Yeah.
Not just for their opponents, but for themselves
and that's where
and
you
their family.
fight. Because the saying that Jewish people...
They're looking forward to the end of times.
Yeah, life comes first. For the jihadis, death comes first.
Right.
So how do you fight it? How do you...
I don't know. And my point is, I don't even know how to understand that. Like, being from the U.S., from the West, we've never even been introduced to an idea similar to that. Like, the only thing we've even heard of growing up here similar to that was when they tried to explain kamikaze pilots during the Pearl Harbor attack. And that just seemed too crazy to understand.
You know, I used to believe in peace and believe that not all of them are bad, the Muslim religions, because, you know, I spoke the language. When I went to school in Israel, I got called to the war in Lebanon. Half of my class in Arabs, they came and visit my wife, ask her how she's doing, and I'm over there fighting the border. But after seeing all the students, the young, either Palestinian or Muslim, with so much hate and screaming from the river to the sea, do you think peace ever can happen with this, what we call smart people from Harvard, Cornell, Yale, UCLA, 20, 21 years who screamed this?
Logically, functionally, and ideologically, no. You cannot have peace with that idea living around you. That particular idea is...
My hometown was close to a very, very old town in the Bible called Accra. Accra was a town that Napoleon got defeated. When I was growing up, we all the time took school trip over there. I used to love the walls that they built, the night build, the Turkish baths that they built inside. Beautiful. There was 95% Christian, 5% Muslim in this town. Today there is only 2 Christian, a husband and wife. They chase all the Christian out of there. There is beautiful churches there. They don't use them anymore. Only once a year on Christmas time. It's all controlled by the Muslim. And when Israel went to a conflict 4 years ago, the Muslims in this town attacked the Jewish people. And it was a pogrom in town in Israel, 25 kilometers from my hometown. Lucky for us, for Israel, that in this conflict with Gaza, the Arab inside Israel, the number is 1.9, did not demonstrate, did not create problem. They all saw the horrifying video, because Hamas didn't kill just Jewish people on 10/7. They killed Arabs as well, Muslim.
People from all around the world.
Yeah, they there is a lot of Filipinos and Indian people in Israel. They do a lot of work. Most of the Philippines take care of elderly people. They beheaded Indian guy, and they showed in a video laughing about it. So they did not participate in the demonstration in Israel, and that was really a plus. So this telling me, yes, there is a peace. But the young people who are screaming from the river to the sea, it's tough to change their mind.
It is, and that's why I have, even though I know that I don't know enough about any of this to have a good opinion, I feel like the one opinion I do have is that the responsibility for solving the deepest fundamental problem of jihadism lays in the hands of Muslim people. That if Muslim people want to coexist with other societies in this world, they need to take some responsibility for the people that are on the extreme end of Islam, who are.
You remember what ISIS did?
They have to find a way to. The peaceful Muslims have to find a way to convince the extreme Muslims.
They can't, and the reason they can't, they don't have the power. Remember what ISIS did when they start controlling areas? They just beheaded and killed everybody. Mm-hmm. Let's say Hamas succeeded and conquer Israel. Let's say Hamas control Israel. Who do you think they're going to go after? You think they're going to put the gun down and go to school and build a country and start a camp? No. That's not the gene. Who they're going to go after they take care of Israel? Who do you think they're going to go after?
Well, the idea they have is that they share in common with a lot of people in that area is to keep expanding.
They're going after the Christian.
Yeah.
And the Jewish is the front.
They want the whole world.
They want the whole world.
To be purified.
And all these good, educated Muslims, the peaceful Muslim, who did not step up and say something about Hamas, they're going to be silenced as well. Today there was an interview in a hospital, and the guy talked to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a broadcast from Qatar, very supporting of Hamas. And he talked against Hamas, and the reporter could not shut him up fast enough. And it's televised all over the world. Because he's telling the Hamas take all the fuel from the hospital, all the food, all the medication, and that's their own people. So if they're killing their own people, what's it going to do to others?
I saw that. I don't understand how anybody is sympathetic for Hamas. I can't find one thread of evidence that there's something worth supporting in the activities of
Again,
Hamas.
the propaganda working very well.
I agree with
4,000 kids, 3,000 women.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that I have no evidence for. But I remember when right after the October thing happened and Israel had a response a few days later, I was on Twitter, which is X now. And I typed in Israel-Palestine. I was just scrolling to see what was out there. Even though I know that's not reliable information. Just to see what people are putting out there. And what struck me is there was almost nothing footage from the Hamas attack in Israel. Which it exists. There is lots of video. But people, lots and lots of people and anonymous accounts were posting all of this devastation that Israel was causing. And what seemed strange to me about it was I don't mind that they were doing that, maybe if people are showing things that are true, but the first thing that occurred to me, and I had no reason to suspect this at this time, but the first thing that occurred to me was like, okay, this shit looks fake. Like, these people look like they're acting. But I was like, that's definitely a real dead body. But why does this seem choreographed? And I was like, maybe I just don't understand the context. Or maybe I'm not used to seeing people this upset. Or maybe this culture acts different when they're extremely upset. I don't know. But I really felt like there was a whole lot of...
fake news.
Like... produced video.
Yeah. The heavy unit.
Shitty acting, but they were using real dead bodies.
Hamas heavy units is in charge of
Why is that
painting
happening?
people with blood, of putting body bag.
Is that really happening?
Yeah, they're doing it. It's a heavy unit who does it. They're showing a body bag, and suddenly the guy stand up and he open it and he's looking at his phone. Oh, they're showing a guy laying down.
Oh, so you think in some of them the bodies aren't even real?
Correct.
Jeez.
That's part of the propaganda.
And what's the point of that propaganda?
Because when you see it...
To lose their support from the West?
Correct.
Well, it's working because there's Western people protesting against Israel.
Today there was a big demonstration in Washington, D.C. 200,000 supporting of Israel. My friend from Michigan went over there, she and her husband. And she said, Annie, it was unbelievable. I mean, with people singing and people, with the Israeli flag all over, and they came from all over the United States. When the other demonstration is basically brutal, killing, tearing up.
They're attacking Jewish people.
Correct.
In Western countries.
Because they're easy target.
Well, what do you think about anti-Semitism? And do you fear this? What would seem like a new rise?
No.
No? You don't fear for your safety?
No.
That's convenient, so you don't mind if I publish this?
No, I don't. I mean, if my daughter and my grandson was here, I would a little bit more caution.
But you've already fought in wars.
Yeah, I mean, the saying that...
Do you believe you could be attacked here because you're Jewish?
I can be attacked anywhere, I mean...
Do you think you could be attacked anywhere because you're Jewish?
Yeah.
What is that like?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean,
You don't know what it's not like to be that, though, do you?
I just know that what I learned and what I was trained for might help me even if I'm, a little bit older guy. I told my brother, should I come and help? And he said, Danny, what are you going to do? They're not going to call you to the military. You pass the age. There is like 54 age that you can go as reserve. And I say, can I help with anything? No, stay where you are. I'm a U.S. citizen since I came here. So I have dual citizenship, and you can't be afraid of everything. The word fear, it's something that if it's going inside your body, it never go away. Then you don't have any quality of life. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, my wife doesn't want me to have a gun in the house. And
I think you're very courageous. I think most Jewish people I've ever met are very courageous, and I admire courage.
What else you got to do?
Yeah, what else are you going to do, right, if you're Jewish?
Yeah. Are you afraid of anything?
Oh, man. I think I'm afraid of a lot less than most people.
But you're not afraid that somebody will attack you? Because of who you are?
Because of who I am?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, but I don't know what that's like.
Okay.
I really don't. Actually, I never felt any sort of vulnerability at all until I have a daughter. And then I felt...
The kids make a difference.
Yeah. I was like, man, now I have a weakness. I have to protect this.
It's not a weakness. It's strength, I think. And I think that's what Israel see today after 10/7, that they didn't protect the babies and the women and the girls that got raped and the kids that got slaughtered and beheaded. And that was the biggest weakness, and it will never go away. When I go to sleep, it's been a month and a half now, I think about when I see kids in the pool, I think about the one who got murdered. And just imagine, I was away from it. I see it on TV, only on video. What do you think the people that experience will feel the rest of their life? Something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, what a good thing to...
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you for coming and speaking to me. I know it wasn't easy, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So it's good to see you again, too.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.